It's not the enchilada I think everybody is thinking. Obviously, the biggest thing I'm interested in is what happens on the January 6th situation and stuff like that. But this, obviously, there's a lot of details I still don't necessarily know about this case. But as all your guests have been saying, it's going to be difficult to prove, difficult to prosecute. So I think people need to look at this kind of in that spectrum and realize, look, we're still waiting to hear from Georgia and some of the other stuff federally as well.
So that is Adam Kingzinger, who of course Donald Trump despises utterly, and so you would expect he's a big, opponent of Donald Trump. He's going to be super excited about this Stormy Daniels case, bearing some sort of consequence fruit. But he seems to be more focused on, I think, cases that potentially have more behind them, that are more serious in a variety of ways. Maggie Haberman, who has been at times critical of Donald Trump, also wants to caution people against too high of expectations when it comes to this. Take a look.
So we're entering uncharted territory here. I mean, I think it's important to note about this case. As Kara said, this is a misdemeanor that they're trying to push up to a felony.
Which is a really kind of
exotic yes. case. And a judge could decide, no, we're gonna knock it back to a misdemeanor. That is difficult for a prosecutor when it's a former president. I understand, justice is supposed to be equal, for all, but people take into consideration factors like this. I think we could see a rallying effect from his supporters. It could be that more people are turned off by this. I just don't think we know. We know how he will use it, which is that he will say he's being attacked and victimized, and we have seen that over and over again. We're going to continue to.
So yeah, a little bit of caution. I mean, there. If you want to be excited about the prospects, there are reasons to believe, like, Michael Cohen suffered consequences for this. Doesn't it seem a little bit weird that he suffered consequences, but not the guy? He wasn't in the affair. He wasn't in the. So anyway, it seems weird that he would, but not Trump. So, but that said, I don't always agree with Maggie Haberman, but she is right that the way that they're trying to elevate this is potentially a little bit harder to convince literally everyone in a jury of, and a little bit easier for the Trump team to attack. But Brett, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, this is it just made me want enchiladas, honestly. I agree with Maggie Haberman. I agree with Adam Kingzinger. I don't think this is going to pay off. I totally understand the framing of it, but at this point, it's just a lot of what I see with the investigations of Trump into the weaponization committee on Donald of the Republicans in the House of Representatives is just like, it's like this weird Cold War. It's just everybody putting a bunch of money into preventative and like weapons stockpiling. It's just they're investigating each other. I can't get past the fact that this is a strange legal theory that might put him away. And it's not a strange legal theory that I can wrap my mind around, like getting Elliot Ness a racketeer, or getting Al Capone a racketeer for tax evasion. This is like a politician for campaign finance reform in the furtherance of another crime, potentially. It's just, I think we get into that territory where it's like the people involved in the investigation are themselves chasing clout a little bit on all sides. I think in the meantime, we should focus on the negative effects Donald Trump had on American politics and the fabric of democracy. And this is just a little bit of a distraction. If we know it's a distraction, we watch it as such, that's more healthy. But if you're like self-deluding, you're into becoming like into this being like a giant thing, you will be frustrated if it doesn't pan out. I think that's unhealthy.
Yeah. And especially if it takes your eye off the prize of he's almost certainly still going to run for president. He's almost certainly, I think, going to win the primary. We need to prepare for that battle and hopefully can meet him in the eventual general election with the best candidate possible, not necessarily just the guy who's already there. So there's a lot of work that needs to go on.
And if the last thing I'll say is, in the grand scheme of things, there's fatigue around Donald Trump that people kind of maybe have forgotten in the meantime while he's gone away. And as we get closer to an election, as we go through the primaries and potentially into the general election, stuff like this will contribute to reminding people that Trump is just too much to handle. It's true. Just annoying. And he's got 5 investigations instead of 1, and they're like in actual courts, and they're for felonies, not misdemeanors. Even if they're misdemeanors, you need a lot of them. So that's the takeaway from me.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.